In this episode, we continue our journey from Sangla. Our stops were Kalpa, Nako, and Tabo, with one night stay on all stops. At Sangla Kinnar camps, we woke up early morning and took a short trek down to the Baspa river. In the deep shade of the cedar grove was a small temple and a mound of money stones with the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum painted on them in the Tibetan script. After breakfast, we started our drive towards Chitkul, the last town towards Tibet on this route. The roads were hardly tarred. The distance for the day was 50 kilometers. Chitkul is the last village in India on the way to Tibet. The slopes of the mountains were covered with forests and tinged with fall colors, a rare sight in this subcontinent. We drove to the point where ITBP had its checkpost. Photography was not allowed towards that direction due to security reasons. We were told by the guarding Jawans that come January and this place will have 6 feet of snow. The village was a hive of activity, with people preparing for the onslaught of winter as hay was dried and stored for fodder. The Mata Devi temple is built in the Kinnori style of carved wood and stone and with slate roofs. We had lunch at Samar Resort, the last resort on the Indo-Tibetan border. The roads were so narrow in places with no guardrails on the cliff. The drive is definitely not for the faint-hearted and those without a lot of driving experience. We reached Karcham, the confluence of Baspa and Satluj rivers. The two rivers have distinctly different colors at the confluence. The Satluj is grey, whereas the Baspa is greenish blue. By evening, we reached the Grand Shangri-La Hotel after a pretty daring high ascent to the hilltop of Kalpa. We had a clear view of Kinnar Kailash with its distinctive monolithic pillar. This place had a very nice attic with a library with mountain music playing. It was truly a wonderful place. This was the sunrise as seen from bed early morning.
Apple orchards I am seeing for the first time. Me and my cousin brother plucked apples and had lots of fun. These are Kinnar apples and they're very delicious. They are shipped to different parts of India from this packaging facility.
After breakfast, we started our drive towards Nako, which is 110 kilometers away.
Holy shit. I heard a scream.
In this part of the world, the roads are always under construction. Thanks to the BRO for making this part of the world accessible. Don't be a Gama in the land of Lama. This road has the distinction of being the world's most treacherous road. Constructing bridges on such places is a risky and difficult job, and many times done by the Indian Army. On 8 September 2005, 34 people from the 18 Engineer Regiment laid their lives during the construction of the Kharo Bridge. There are army checkpoints at many places where you have to log your movement, as this place is near to the China border.
When I first saw the signpost directing to Pooh, I really thought it had something to do with Winnie the Pooh.
Originally, this was the Indo-Tibetan highway. Thanks to BRO, we now see sections of tar roads. One must salute the hard work being done at such high altitude of 2,480 meters, where I would pant after walking just 200 meters. We were now crossing over the rain shadow region of the Trans-Himalaya.
But there were certain pockets of apple orchards out of nowhere.
The southern slopes get rain from the monsoon winds, but the clouds cannot penetrate the high mountains to the northern side.
Welcome to Laol and Spiti. Wow.
These areas remain rain deprived, and the result is a landscape that seems to be belonging to another planet. Our drive through Kinnaur Valley continues. We were witnessing some of the world's breathtaking mountain views while gaining altitude.
The drive continues to amaze us with wonderful landscapes. Driving needs to be focused with high concentration on these roads. We used to take turns after every few hours, even though both of us were used to driving long in cities and highways.
Then we began to climb, ascending in zigzag bends high into the mountains. The landscape was arid and windswept. We crossed lonely hamlets like Ka that had small clusters of houses surrounded by groves of poplar, willow, and apple trees. Just before sunset, we reached Kinnakam's Nako. The tents were very similar to the ones at Sangla.
The night sky was even more clear, even more beautiful, a treat for my camera. The Milky Way.
Chilly morning, but woke up. We can see the mountains and the famous Nako Lake. A short walk leads to this beautiful lake. A mountain stream feeds the lake. It's almost circular, with clumps of yellow poplars and willow trees beside it. Surrounded by beautiful mountains, you don't want to leave, but we still had miles to go after sleep. The drive became more beautiful. The vastness of the mountains mesmerizes us. Reaching an altitude of 3,600 meters, we were presented with many photo opportunities. There were many occasions where we would say, "Stop, stop." Sometimes we would take a picture from the car. Sometimes we would get down and spend a few minutes enjoying the beauty. After passing through the small village of Chango, we came across another roadblock due to shooting stones. Stones were constantly falling due to weak soil and construction work.
Yeah, this is where the rocks and muds are sliding down.
We had to be guided, and the view from the car was quite intimidating, looking up at some really big boulders that may slide any time. Being a narrow road, negotiating a pass requires patience and respect for other travelers.
Some traffic rules don't apply here. If the cliff is on the right side, you drive right for the convenience of the incoming vehicle.
Broken roads, broken bridges, surrounded by vast mountains. And all of a sudden, seeing another vehicle or person seems so interesting. How do people live here? How do they cope with winter? How do they communicate with the rest of the world? We reached Tabo with few hours of daylight still remaining. The old Tabo Monastery was constructed in 996 AD and has detailed frescoes depicting Buddhist legends on its walls. Photography was not permitted inside, and here is the outside of the monastery. Different monasteries have different photography rules. A small, cute little school in this remote town. After having momos at the monastery restaurant, we went to our hotel, Devachan Retreats, and watched the sun set behind the mountains just behind the apple orchards.